Hi all, I have another amazing Ragozin game to show you today. So the Queen's Gambit declined Ragozin variation is a very interesting opening combining the Nimzo Indian with the Queen's Gambit declined. Let's have a look at this game. Jesper Sondergaard FIDE was playing against Sergei Movsesian. So d4 and Movsesian playing black plays knight f6, c4 we have e6, knight f3, d5. So it looks as though this could transpose into a normal Queen's Gambit declined, but after knight c3, instead of bishop e7, the pinning move bishop b4. We have now queen b3, which is becoming quite topical, and this is quite an important model game to consider if you are preparing against this move. Black plays c5 here. After d takes, the point is revealed not to recapture with the bishop, but rather to play knight a6, so still preserving the opportunity to take on c3, which weakens white sometimes on light squares. And also the queen is subject to tempo gain still here. We have a3, and the bishop doesn't want to use the parking space of the knight, which wants to centralize and gives itself up. Bishop takes c5. By contrast, the knight's on the rim here, and this kind of scenario doesn't really make too much sense. White would actually be slightly better there. So volunteering the bishop to get the knight centralized. Now with knight takes c5, white tries to exploit it as a target with c takes d5, hitting the knight. If that opportunity is ignored with e3 to hit the knight, then black gets a comfortable game, for example like this. And now d takes c4 is actually interesting with the idea of b5. So if bishop takes b5 here, there's queen a5 check picking up the bishop. So black gets a very nice position now after bishop b7 and rook c8. The light squares in particular, the invasive knight on e4, the piece pressure can actually result in further light square pressure like bishop d5, knight b3, and in fact black could end up winning material if white's not careful, like this for example, winning the exchange. There's a lot of pressure there to bear on white's position. So c takes d5. This is the usual course of events now. Queen takes d5, bishop e3, the knight goes to e4 with tempo on the queen, and the queen wants to exchange off usually with a move like queen e5. So the theoretical question here is black okay? Is this bishop kind of bad? Can it improve itself? Black takes on e5, knight takes, knight d5, threatening to give white horrendous looking doubled pawns. We have bishop c1 being played. Bishop d2, well, it always gives black the option of taking on d2, so it's not really scary for black to have that extra option of just taking, and this should be fine without white having the bishop pair. There's no ominous threat to black. Black should be, it's mostly harmless. So bishop c1, let's see if white wants to preserve the bishop pair. We enter into a theoretical debate here kind of thing with bishop d7. So even offering this bishop basically, because otherwise moves like bishop a4 could be handy to black. White doesn't have to take immediately. f3 was played in this game. Knight c5. And now e4. And before this knight moves, important move, in between move, knight b3 hitting the rook on a1, clamping down on b3, rook b1, knight b6. And the knights do seem to be quite energetic here. Bishop e3, black is not worried about double pawns if white wants to take on b6, or about losing the light square bishop. In this game, knight takes d7 was played. So the international master FIDE with white perhaps thought his chances were quite good here with the bishop pair. Bishop takes b6. This doesn't really do anything special for white. It's about equal. And king f2, again, is just bishop a4 could be useful for black. It's a nice binds black has got on certain squares there. So knight takes d7, the critical test. So we enter into an interesting scenario, the two knights versus the two bishops. And here now, after rook hd8, black does seem to have a lot of pressure. White volunteers an exchange of one pair of rooks. We have bishop takes d1. Rook takes d1, allowing rook c2. Doesn't seem to be that inspiring for white. This could end up just equal here. Okay, so bishop takes d1, keeping an eye on the c2 square. Knight c4, so hitting the bishop on e3. There's a couple of options for white here, taking on b3 or bishop g5 check. In this game we see bishop g5 check. Bishop takes b3 doesn't seem to offer white too much. The knight can go back here. An important move, b5, not worried about double pawns. This is possible for black and should guarantee equality. White's got nothing better there. That's similar to something in the game though. So bishop takes, If b5 isn't played, by the way, if knight d6, white could end up getting a small edge potentially in this endgame. But the knight's still quite nifty there. So bishop g5 was tried, not bishop takes b3. Now f6. Now white took on b3. There's no time to take on f6 here. This runs into knight d2, forking bishop and rook. That'd be a disaster. So bishop takes b3, f takes g5, rook c1, and it looks as though, well, with black having the double pawns, is there something going on here after b5, offering even seemingly potentially weak pawn, but the king activity is crucial, the king on e7 compared to the king on g1. And here, white should play, it seems, king f2 and should be okay. For example, this position should be okay. There's nothing too much going on. It's a dynamic equality. King f1 runs into knight e3 check. So king f2 though, careful, king f2 should be fine. But here in the game, actually white played bishop takes c4. I believe this is a mistake. After rook takes c4, this is fantastic now for black. This is actually a fantastic endgame. Rook f1 was played. If rook takes c4, this position with the king quite aggressive, the black king goes there, king e3, but there's a key move here. Can you spot it in this variation? It's actually quite interesting how white can be in trouble with this next move if black plays a fantastic move here. If I give you 5 seconds, what would you play with black? Okay, the move g4 puts white in a sort of zugzwang after fg, g5. This is an endgame zugzwang. Yeah, the pawns are just going to start falling off, and there's a passed pawn there already. So, yeah, this is just a very bad position. If f4, you might ask, a5, and again, it's a kind of zugzwang position after g6 here, not letting white have any tactical f5. And this pawn is like stopping 2 pawns, that pawn on g4. So it's a lost position, a zugzwang for white. So anyway, so rook f1, but this is still miserable after g4. Black is undoubling the pawns now and giving white double pawns and creating a passed e pawn. And actually, Sergei Movsesian started making some major inroads in this rook and pawn ending. It's very difficult to win with the black pieces usually, but he makes this look fairly smooth, this endgame, with that passed pawn in the centre, gaining territory and putting pressure on white. e3, yep, that king is super aggressive. g5, white's not able to do anything too constructive here. So allowing that rook on the 7th, and now the pawns are in trouble. In fact, black, yep, has got a 2-0 over there, and it's all over. White resigned. Black is easily winning this race here with the 2 connected passed pawns. So a very, very instructive game featuring Queen b3 as a critical test in the Ragozin variation. If you want to check out, there's a free course on the Ragozin at Chessable. So absolutely free course to check out, Kingscrusher TV /Ragozin. So this is by a very, very strong FIDE master Daniel Barish, who recently defeated 2 grandmasters with the Ragozin and Nimzo ideas that he's been using in this course. And also the video content, tons of it, in the main course as well, by International Master Chess Explained. So great stuff. If you want to check that out, there's the link, and I'll put it in the description of the video as well. Hope you got something from this. If you want to try the Ragozin, it's a nice cross between the Nimzo and the Queen's Gambit Declined. Very, very interesting stuff for a repertoire which could last a lifetime for you with the black pieces. Okay, thanks very much.